Welcome to the third, I can't believe it's the third, Worthy Online Rally. We do these every last Saturday of the month, and really it's just plain and simple, just to raise some hope and kindness, nothing attached, no hidden agenda, no money being raised for this. It's just to spread kindness and courage. So we always have around five fabulous speakers that are willing to tell their stories. And really this idea just came out of wanting to spread positivity in the world, especially since 2020 seems to be a year where people are kind of pushed and feel like they're beaten up because things seem to happen over and over again that seem so negative. And it's just the year of a challenge, how I've seen it phrased by many people. But really, I actually want to challenge the year back. I don't think the year is going to beat us, and I want to change the mindset of the year. I'm actually very, very thankful for 2020 because it has brought me to an awakening of who I am, an awakening of what I want to do, an awakening that I really don't know what my next path is, but I feel more than ever a spark to make a difference. And I don't know if any of you guys feel it. Does anyone have such an awakening this year? Raise your hand. That's great. How many of you know what you're going to do with that awakening? Raise your hand. Mike, oh my gosh, that's wonderful. I'm not quite there yet. 2 hands, Laura. I'm not quite there yet, but I know something is driving me. Something is driving me, and it's huge. And despite all the darkness that 2020, if you see it as darkness, tries to throw at people, I challenge that and challenge each of you to be a light in that darkness. And if each of you is a light bulb right now, or a candle, or whatever sort of light you want to be, we can definitely let people see the opportunities around them, where without light, they may not be able to see opportunities. They just see the darkness and the challenges, and then why me? Why is this tornado coming my way? Why is there a hurricane now? Why is COVID happening to my family? Yeah, those are all horrible things, but if we change the mindset and open up and be a light, we can see opportunities around that. It's not just all darkness. Opportunities to help each other, to bring forth kindness, to bring forth some words of encouragement, to enlighten others, to give them hope. I must admit that every single time I come on here, even though I love speaking in front of others and I love it, I get inspired, I get a kick out of it. I am so nervous to do these. I don't know why, but that is a feeling and a direction I feel that makes me think I need to keep doing these, because the more uncomfortable I feel, the more I should challenge it and the more I should do it. So those of you backstage, when I was with the speakers, some were saying the same thing. And I know they've spoken in so many different ways. They have videos, they're all out there, but they feel the same. And I think it's because we are all coming from a human place right now. And I want you to remember that human place, because at the end of the day, despite all of our backgrounds, and you're going to get to hear a story from 5 fabulous people right now today, but each of you has a story. And I invite each of you to come, and if you want to share your story at a future one, please let me know. But hopefully at the end of this session, we will be able to connect with one another, go into breakout rooms and get to know each other as well. So as people continue to trickle in, I don't want to keep going myself, because we have some fabulous stories coming up. Each speaker will have about 7 to 10 minutes. I won't be interrupting them because some of these stories are quite powerful, so I will let people continue to speak. But at the end, we will have time for some Q&A. And again, what is the goal of this? It's just, if you get one spark, one additional nugget of inspiration, one additional nugget of making you feel like, okay, I'm not alone. I can relate. It's okay to feel that way. I'm a human after all. And if you feel that and you can pay it forward to someone else, then we've done our jobs. Sometimes we have more people come on these, sometimes we have less people come on these. And me being the human, trying to think, oh, how can I get more people to come? But the point is, whoever comes is meant to come. And whoever comes is meant to pay it forward to whoever else. So the point is about the message and to be the lights right now, to light more lights. So if you can help me do that, I love you guys for that. So without further ado, I want to finish. I love quotes, so I'm going to start off with a quote, which I don't know if one of you here, maybe it was Annie. One of you said this in some social media platform, but I deserve to be seen and heard as much as it is my responsibility for hearing and seeing others. I think I'm going to take that mantra and just frame it. So without further ado, let's begin with Mike. So Mike, I met Mike online, which most of you guys I've met online. I've never met in person, but Mike I've met through mutual connections. We've known each other a few months, I want to say. We spoke a couple of times. He's involved in lots of podcasts. He has an amazing story, inspirational, and I can't find the words to describe it, but I felt right away with Mike that he truly has something, and he has a gift, and he's here to really share a message in a powerful way. So I'm so grateful to have connected with you, Mike, and it is such a pleasure to have you here today.
Thank you so much, Andrea, for your introduction, and I appreciate it. Can you hear me all right? Like, is everything okay? I can't promise the kids will stay out of the room. I'm trying to hide, but we'll go with it. So I want to talk about how hope is free, right? Like, there's been many times in my life that hope has impacted me, and hope has changed my trajectory in many ways at many different times, whether it was times that I was homeless and lost everything, whether it was times that I was living in hotels and hotel hopping with my wife at the time and kids, whether it was a house fire, whether it was bad business decisions. There's been so many different times, right? And the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, whatever your higher power is, always seems to send some type of hope. For me, there's times where it's businesses. There's times where it's creating inspiration for others, helping others build businesses, helping them create their dreams. Sometimes it's meeting someone, right? And with my current circumstance and where I'm stuck today, it's 2020 is my best year of my life. And I know that sounds really strange, but it really is. My current awakening, my current circumstance, my current situation, I have never in my life at the beginning of this situation, before COVID even started, felt so hopeless and so low and not had any way to see myself out of it. And I became a very negative source at that point. And then a complete stranger reached out to me and told me that it would be okay. At that point, I didn't know how to take that, but I do know that the next day things started getting better and things started changing. And then I still was in a predicament, in a circumstance, COVID kicks in, all these different things just kept piling on top of me. And at that point, it would have been so easy to just give up and walk away. It would have been so easy just to say, I can't take it anymore. I feel like that's not who I am. I seem to fight through, and I'm very resilient, and I love doing those things. But there was an inspiration, there was hope in my life that shifted my paradigm and my perspective so much that the way that it shifted my life, I can't even quantify. And here comes the 3-year-old. I can't even, she's not feeling well today, so I can't blame her. I can't even quantify, how things have changed for me in the last almost 3.5 months. My whole life has changed. My whole perspective has changed. The work I'm doing, how I'm trying to help others, what I'm processing. And without hope and without kindness of others, I never would have got this far. So I try to be that for others, and I try to give others hope, and I try to inspire, and I try to always be kind. And it's not a winning proposition every day, right? Like every day isn't perfect. Every day isn't the best scenario. Sid, not right now. I'm live. Sorry, baby. What? You want me to take a sip of my drink? Okay, fine. Okay, good. There you go. Sorry about that. But you know, with the way life goes, you've got to find that joy. You've got to find that moment. You got to grab those moments and hold on to them. And I'm finally understanding what that means. For the first time in my life, I'm grabbing those moments and I'm holding on to them with everything I have. Now, it doesn't mean I don't make mistakes. It doesn't mean I don't do certain wrong things. But what it does mean is that I forgive myself. I have self-compassion, and I try to learn and evolve forward. Okay, I'm live, baby. Can you give me 3 minutes? She's just out of it today. But I feel like my inspiration now is building from within. And when you start accepting circumstances, situations for what they are, which is not always easy, and you allow yourself to see it from an outside perspective, and you allow yourself to see what you're going through, what others are going through, and you're empathetic towards that, I feel like those are situations where I'm able to overcome and find that truth. It's one of those. It's a very interesting paradigm, right? Because everybody looks for outside inspiration. Everybody wants to find that person that inspires them. For the first time in my life, I found somebody that inspired me to inspire myself. And that is a complete polar shift from anything I've had before. I can't comment about what my daughter is doing right now. But at the end of the day, you know, I feel like if we all just look and we all just look at others and look at them with an empathetic eye, right? Because we never know what they're going through, what they're feeling, what's impacting them at the moment. And we look above it. It comes back down to forgiveness and everything else. Sorry, I keep looking away, but I'm trying to put a clothes on my daughter because she's freaking out about it. It's just a cold. It's just a sinus cold, I hope. Thank you, though, Chris. I appreciate it. It's been a while since we talked. There's so much in life that if we grab the moments and we grab those things, we hold on to them and we build it around that. You know, we've got to build upon that for each other, for ourselves, and then each other. Because the minute that we build for ourselves, we're immediately building for everyone around us. And that's something that I've always missed that I'm finally understanding now. So if I can inspire anyone, it's that you can overcome anything, any single thing that happens to you, you can overcome with the right compassion, with the right self-forgiveness, self-love, self-appreciation, because it starts within. And I've never realized that until recently. And I feel like that's the difference today. And that's why 2020 is by far my best year ever. Not even close. There's nothing that even compares to it. Because what I'm waking up to and what my purpose is and what I'm moving towards every day is bigger than me. And I have people around me that support and lift up and inspire me to inspire myself. And it's a magical place to be right now. And I'm very happy to help anyone that I can, however I can. That's it.
Wow, let's give Mike a heart. If you're new to Worthy, this is what we do when we connect with a message as people are speaking, or we can do a digital heart. That's very high tech and very 2020, Jenny. Very great. But we can do that if people are having vulnerable moments and hard times sharing stories. You can do a digital heart or a hand heart. So that's the badge of keep going, courage. Great, I can relate. Wonderful, Mike. Thank you so much for sharing. Your girl is always adorable. I love how human you are every time you you speak and come across. Um, I appreciate you sharing all that, the story, and always being vulnerable. Next, we have Kathryn. So Kathryn and I met her online. I have a weekly chat for the past 6 years on Twitter called Dare to Be. And she's been, I mean, her and Tom here, I see, they've been part of my clan there. And we've grown tight. And Kathryn just always has made me smile from the first time I've met her. Sometimes laugh to the point of snorting, right, Kathryn? That you giggle snort all the time. Her hashtag is giggle snort. So she just has such a beautiful heart and soul, but not such being inspirational, but she has a sense of humor when she does it in a way that you just can't help and smile. And I love her energy. I love her courage to just dive into all of these projects. And despite all the challenges and a tornado taking up her house, she just keeps going. So Kathryn, I'm so lucky to know you. I'm so glad you're here, and welcome.
All for being here. And yeah, some people will say I do it with a sense of humor. Some people say it's a little more snark than humor. That is why I am your Snarky Rainbows extraordinaire. And I am Kathryn Lang. I am currently situated on Lake Gunnersville, Alabama. That's what you see behind me, but that is not my normal location. My normal location is squashed. It was squashed on Easter. But even before then, the reason I wanted to talk with y'all is it surprised me. It snuck up on me because we got this list of bullet points of what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to introduce ourselves, and you can find me over at snarkyrainbows.com if you need some more encouragement and inspiration with a little twist. And she had these bullet points of what she wanted us to talk about, and I just looked at my husband and I said, and she wants me to do this in 7 minutes? Really? She's met me. She knows better. So I was like, I have no idea what I'm going to talk about. And something just kept stirring in me. And it was this whole idea that fear is a liar. I started out 2020 determined to change our lives. We were hurting financially. We were on the verge of losing our house. And I went through the whole litany of what if, and how am I going to fix this? And what can I do? And I had a plan, and I had my whiteboard of world domination. And then I also had my, we got to do this now plan. And I started in and I started getting things done. And then COVID hit. How rude of something like that to disturb the plans that I had made. And it stirred up a whole nother realm of ifs. And then after a month of being sheltered at home with my husband, my 14-year-old, and my dad in the woods, just us and the squirrels, I was like, now what? What? A tornado. What does the tornado do? It takes the very house I had been so afraid of losing. I literally slammed into my fear. After we took 2 hours to hike out and we got to safety, my husband and I came to an agreement. We weren't going to make any decisions. We weren't going to accept any settlements. We weren't going to do anything that was stirred by fear. And there was more than one occasion when you think, oh, if we don't do something right now, what? What's going to happen? And fear will start building up and stirring you up, and it'll drive you to make a decision. And any decision made out of fear is always the wrong decision. Now there's fear like, hey, that tiger's hungry and I have a sandwich, I should give it to him. That kind of fear, that's good. That'll keep you alive. But if you're at the zoo and the tiger's in the cage, and you're worried, you're fearful that he's going to take your sandwich, that's the bad kind of fear. It's a delusional fear. It's the false evidence appearing real. The narrative that the reality is not what it actually is. He decided that no longer was fear going to be the driving force. And once we made that decision that fear wasn't going to drive us, our lives literally changed. I mean, everything about our lives changed. We are on our 7th claim manager for our insurance. Our 7th claim manager. Every time we get a new one, we start from the beginning again. And they called us yesterday. We finally got somebody to come out and do a line item. They wanted a line item estimate of the house that was squashed. And all the contractors were, well, we're not going to rebuild it. We're going to build you a new one. And the insurance company's like, well, we still have to have a line item. So they finally came out. They give us a line item, and the phone call came. And I told my husband, I said, they're giving us a new claim manager. We're going to start all over again. And even though he says he's going to stay as our claim manager, he did say he's sending us out another adjuster. Relaxed because fear was no longer the driving force. If you choose to get to a place where you measure those emotions and you say, is it fear that's pushing me to make this decision? And it's fear, take a moment, step back and wait for peace. That's going to be what gives you the direction that you really need to go. Right before we came on here, I got a text message from a friend of mine that does poetry, and he sent me a poem called I'm Your Peace. And he gets down to the bottom, and he's talking about being the piece that's working in the world, the piece of the puzzle, that kind of peace. And all I could think of was, I want to be the piece that is the conduit for the peace to the people we talk to today. I want to be the piece of that puzzle allows peace to flow through. The way that happens is when we stand up to fear and tell it no more. Do that a little bit at a time, a little bit of encouragement. And encouragement is nothing more than putting in courage. Smile at someone. Yeah, I know it's hard. We got masks. Get a mask with a smile on it. You know, at least people will look at you weird. And once people start looking at you weird, a conversation can start. Say something nice. If you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. I cannot, and just don't. That's how fear gets in. And if you don't know it firsthand, you don't know it. So quit spreading it, because that's how fear gets its roots in. I dare you today, be a conduit of peace, be a piece of peace to the world by refusing to allow fear to take root.
Oh my goodness. It's like, keep going. That's really good. Kathryn, I've had people connect with me privately on the chats like, I have to get to know her. She's great. Thank you so much, Kathryn. Always love connecting with
I'm happy to talk with anybody. Connect with me over at Snarky Rainbows, and I have a handout they can download that shows you the 7 keys to unlock encouragement, because encouragement is a fear breaker every single time.
Go ahead, Kathryn, and all of our speakers, or anyone else too, make sure and put on our chat how they can connect with you, and if you do have handouts, where they can find it, or if you have a website, etc. That's wonderful. Thank you, Kathryn. Next, we have Roger, which we recently, we were in recent groups online, such as Humans First, and among many others. If you don't know Humans First, it's a wonderful, wonderful group that a lot of us here actually on this call are part of. Human First is it club? C club? Humansfirst.club. And every Friday, they have calls all the time, all over the world, but every Friday at 11 a.m. Central, We get together and discuss just a lot of things we're discussing now, but topics that really give people courage to be themselves and own their humanness in the workplace and just in life in general. So I met Roger in that group, and we've been in several other calls. I know some of you, a lot of you here, like Chris Berryman has Conversations for Humanity. I mean, so many people have these wonderful groups that just inspire others and are additional conduits, Kathryn's word, of light, that give lights and sparks to other community members, so they spread the light. So I encourage all of you, and go ahead. Mike put a link to, Chris put a link to your group as well. Anyone that has communities, put them in there, because that's what we're here, to support each other. But through Roger, going back to Roger, I met him, and we were in a similar breakout room once in Humans First. And just by those few words that he spoke, it just so grabbed me. It grabbed my soul, because I knew he had a powerful story, and it was unbelievable. And I couldn't wait to hear more about him and learn more about him. I actually haven't heard his story. I heard snippets of it. I heard teasers of what he's about when in the breakout rooms, but I've heard all these other people say, oh my gosh, you have Roger speaking. Roger is so inspirational. Roger has the most incredible story, and Roger is really a soul you want to be associated with and connected with, because he just brings goodness and courage all around him. So I'm so blessed and so happy to have Roger here, live from the UK. Thank you so much for being here, Roger.
Thank you, Andrea, for such an amazing introduction. All I need to do now is live up to it, so no pressure. And thank you to everyone else for being here as well. So the saying goes, a picture paints 1,000 words. How many of you have heard that saying by show of hands? Just about everyone. So the fact that I have a pair of elbow crutches just behind me here paints you the picture that I have at least one physical disability. Whew, that's the elephant out of the room. But my disability hasn't always been there, as you're about to hear now, as I share with you my true story of resilience. To begin, I'd like to ask you to step into your time machine and journey back in time, arriving on the 9th of June 2013. And you find yourselves on the outskirts of the city of Sheffield in South Yorkshire, here in England, UK. Now I know, had Andrea not told you, you would never have guessed I was a Brit, because I do such a great job of hiding my accent, right? So, as you're sitting in your time machine, you see me pass you. And you notice on the end of the leash, I have my beloved black and white Patterdale Terrier dog, Jasper. You also may notice that both of us have a spring in our step. For me, those were the days. What you can't have known is not only were you witnessing me take my last walk as an able-bodied person, but that walk was almost to become the last thing I would do in my life, ever. You see, there were three people who had other ideas for us that evening, and it wasn't until it was too late. You would have seen the fear coming into my eyes, seen the sweat starting to form on my brow, as I realised each of them was brandishing a baseball bat, wearing a mask, as they closed in on us, their targets. I'll leave to your imagination what happened next during that attack, as the chances are, whatever you're imagining, it's probably nowhere near as graphic as what came next. Suffice to say, I genuinely hope that you never find yourself laying in the road hearing the sound of your own bones break, each time you swallow, tasting your own blood. That's a situation you would have found me in on the 9th of June, 2013. Sadly now, I'm going to have to ask you to trade your state-of-the-art time machine for a National Health Service ambulance to take our next journey together, blues and twos blaring all the way. And as you step out and look up, you see a sign proudly announcing Sheffield's Northern General Hospital Accident and Emergency Department. As you step inside, you recognise that sweet, sickly, clinical smell that all hospitals seem to have about them wherever you are in the world. I'm sure you know the one, right? You also hear the very well-spoken voice of the trauma consultant addressing my wife, Claire, from beyond the cubicle curtain, unaware that the effects of the ketamine have now worn off, and I can hear every single word. Well, Mrs. Cheetham, we'll do all we possibly can for your husband, but at times like these, I always advise the next of kin, pray for the best, but prepare for the very worst. And I really do mean the very worst. If your husband does happen to make it through the night, he's going to be with us for months, and there's very little chance of saving that right lower leg. So there it was, I was hearing second hand. At best, I was going to lose several months worth of my freedom. More than likely, my right lower leg. At worst, during those coming hours, I was about to lose my life. Spoiler alert, I didn't die. I did, however, begin a long stay in hospital, and most of that in isolation, as in addition to all the physical difficulties I was dealing with, in the first week of being in there, I went and contracted myself MRSA. Yay me! I swear to you, if Jasper hadn't come to us pre-named, we'd have called him lucky the way things go in our house. But we were lucky in that Jasper made it straight back home that night. Unlike me, for 3.5 months. 3.5 months to find the resilience to survive 6 operations, each over 12 hours in length. The resilience to deal with the loneliness and isolation between visiting hours, and particularly overnight. And the resilience to handle the mental health issues that come as a result of knowing that 3 fellow humans want you dead. Having given you an insight into my hospital life, I'm sure it will come as no surprise to know that on Wednesday, the 18th of September, that very same year, when Sister Penny came to tell me that everything I dreamt of was coming true and I was going home, I was absolutely full of ecstasy. The emotion, not the drug, just in case you were wondering. Within days, you'd have seen a very different picture. You'd see me waking up. Yeah, back at home. But not in the bedroom, in the family living room that also had to serve as my bedroom, bathroom, and toilet. I was living according to something known in medical terms as a triangular living environment between bed, wheelchair, and the dreaded commode. And I don't mind sharing with you, Sharing that space with my wife Claire and then 15-year-old daughter Tash wasn't just a test of my resilience. In fact, I'd like to take a moment out here just to acknowledge Tash, because when so many 15-year-olds would have thought, what is the importance of exams in the grand scheme of things when we don't even know whether my dad's going to live or not? Tash's outlook was very different. She thought she would apply herself and do the very best she could under the circumstances to add her exam results to the ever-growing long list of things I am so proud of her for. I am able to share with you today, as one proud dad, that Tash left school with 11 GCSEs at grade B and above, which was roughly treble the average result for that year. I couldn't be more proud. So it was during that period when you would find me laid in that bed, staring at the magnolia walls, reflecting my magnolia existence, that something kept going through my head that I'd heard many times before, many years ago, and to this day I don't know where it came from. And that was that people will do more for others than they will do for themselves. So initially I moved the focus from myself, I put it on Claire and on Tash, as they were and remain to this day my biggest reason why. Beyond the two of them, I expanded my reach to see who else I could help and began working with individuals and organisations from classrooms to boardrooms, helping them to develop their resilience muscle, as I personally like to call it. Now, it's in the classrooms that I have had some of the most heartbreaking and heart-melting moments, which sadly I don't have time to share with you today, but hopefully at some point in the future, Andrea may be kind enough to invite me back and share with you about resilience purely for our next generation. But it's been while speaking in those classrooms that I often get asked, "Sir, if you came across the three people again, would you punch them in the face?" To which I rapidly begin my answer by telling them no, because violence is never the answer. I then surprise them by telling them if I did come across those three people again, which incidentally could happen, as to this day they have never been identified, let alone brought to justice. If I did come across them now, I would shake them by the hand and thank them for the positive difference they have made in my life. That has led to me being able to share this very story with approximately 2,000 ladies from over 120 countries at a ladies' event in India last year. That has given me the opportunity to share this message of hope with a mastermind group in the shadows of the Eiffel Tower in the fall of last year, and has given me the story to be able to share with you today my 4-step process for how, moving on, you can live with more resilience in your life. And life just happens to be the acronym I love to use to demonstrate that. The L standing for look at life through a lens of gratitude. The I, imagine different ways of achieving your big goals. When you find an obstacle in front of you which seems insurmountable. The F, find a big enough why to keep you going when you hit those obstacles, encouraging you to go round them, under them, over them, or through them, whatever it takes to get to that bigger goal. And the E, as has already been talked about today, empathize with others. Imagine yourself in their situation, not only why you would be feeling in their situation, but why you would be feeling that way, and what one small thing would help you feel that little bit better in that situation, and then use that to apply to help them. And in doing so, when you live your life according to the LIFE acronym, you will be living with more resilience in your life. Thank you so much.
I feel like I need more than a box of Kleenex right now. Roger, you that's amazing, inspiring, so many good things. You're a true role model, so I want to be like you when I grow up. Thank you so much for being here, sharing this story. You have gone through so much, but yet you're here with us, and you're sharing this message that really truly shows that we can do anything we set our minds to, no matter what obstacles, challenges fall in our way. If we have the right mindset, we can pull through. So thank you for reminding us of that. Next we have Laura. Laura is another one of those people that she just radiates positivity all the time. I've never seen such a positive, happy person. And I know a lot of positive, happy people, but if you don't follow her on Facebook or on social media, please do so, because no matter what's going on, she always finds a positive spin on it. And she just keeps going, whatever life throws at her. She just dances and dances and doesn't care what people think, because she's enjoying life. And I hope to be that way one day as well, because I could never dance in front of people on Facebook. But God, just her, you could sense like how free her soul is, and how she's found herself. It's amazing. So I'm so honored to have Laura. I've met her in again mutual virtual groups, and she's just a ray of light. And I'll let her put her resources offhand, because she offers great inspiration too. So thank you, Laura, for being here.
Thank you so much, Andrea. I actually will stand up. Can everybody see and hear me? Oh, great, thank you. I'm just going to touch on my story. So I came through emotional, sexual, physical abuse that persisted deep into my adulthood. If anyone has a family member or adults in their childhood who just struggle to unconditionally love or care for them, I'm right there. I'm right there with you. Just adults were shape-shifting individuals that I've come to see as sort of, tortured souls, and yet, struggling with their humanity and their ability to resolve their own internal traumas. So for sure, I was kind of this traumatized, people-pleasing person, pretending that I had it all together. So like, if you looked at my resume, you'd be like, what? Gosh, she did this and accomplished that and blah, blah, blah. And yet, I had to come to terms with all of the darkness that had actually taken place, especially when a lot of people just didn't believe me. I often talk about, being in a room where people are calling a water bottle a ketchup bottle, and you're just over there going, oh my gosh, right? The ability to grasp the truth of things was really tough. And so I had an entire family, basically, if you've heard of gaslighting and all that kind of stuff, I got turned into the crazy person, at any rate. And the resilience to come through. And I think this point has been made by the other speakers. It's other people, the people who were able to see and hear, and even to this day, see me and hear me and believe me and value what I'm here to bring to the world has made all the difference, because at the core of myself, I felt flawed, unsafe, and unworthy. And now all those things have pretty much dissipated. Sure, I have moments like right now, my feet are trembling. Actually, my whole body's trembling as I speak to all of you. But so, you know, certainly I have those moments where, you know, my right leg will shake through an entire talk like this. But I know to press forward and to share what it is that I'm here for. And as it was said, I found a reason for being able to lift the pretense, if you will, of having it all together and just be wholehearted and free in my soul. And I've realized that that introspection means all the world. And I would like to very much read to you this essay, Live Like It Matters. The most beautiful people I have known are those who have known defeat, known suffering, known struggle, known loss, and have found their way out of the depths. These persons have an appreciation, a sensitivity, and an understanding of life that fills them with compassion, gentleness, and a deep, loving concern. Beautiful people do not just happen. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. While living in North Carolina continues to free me, I still grieve as I miss my beloved ones I no longer see on a weekly or daily basis. Nothing replaces in-person time with people with whom I've created strong bonds of love and care. I miss my adult children. I live in this messy middle place of incredible freedom of expression in my writing, daily activities, new experiences, and missing people who enrich my life beyond measure. As someone who has constantly yearned for the happy ending, where finally the characters have all that they've ever dreamed about, I realize that with each choice I make comes with a mixture of utter gratitude and missing the large container of honey that didn't make it on the moving van, my bike rides along the Olentangy River, and the people I love. Bravely letting go of some of the rich experiences I enjoyed from my old life continues to be an important grown-up work. My choice to move to the mountains altered those experiences, the structures I had created. Touch and quality time are my top two languages of love, as I notice myself regularly petting my dog Layla and hugging my sweet love as much as I can, a gentleman that I met and am blessed to be with. If I could look into the eyes of all my beloved ones, including my two adult children right now, and say to their beautiful faces, I love you, and hug them, I would do that in a heartbeat. I've learned to savor, to be fully present for what seem like fleeting moments with people I cherish when I return to Columbus or they visit me here in North Carolina, which of course is not happening during this pandemic, sidebar. I know the high value of love, of connection in my life. I also fiercely value my liberation from all that kept me small and contained. I sometimes vacillate between loving my freer, quieter existence on the side of a mountain and yearning for what I left behind in Central Ohio. And there's no turning backwards, for I have found my voice, the seat of my soul, and a home for my heart. I'm clear I made a healthy leap into a new life. Letting go courageously sometimes involves releasing what you love, have loved, will always love. You bravely say goodbye to your lovable dying pet, your dear friend as cancer wins, a career you appreciated for decades. You may have lost a beloved spouse who savored life up to her last breath. Sometimes life crashes over you with the loss of several people you love in rapid succession. Losses can take you to your knees or your bed with unrelenting grief. On the other hand, the ocean wave of goodbyes can also spark you to live every day with fierce, unstoppable passion, gratitude, tenacity, and resilience. You realize death and loss each painfully teach you how to live like everything matters. In your physical spaces, many of you realize you must part ways with belongings you still love because of downsizing to a much smaller living space, making a conscious choice to simplify, or finally beginning to make peace with a dream that won't ever be fulfilled. Sometimes there's no preparation for the brave relinquishing of a beloved one, a belonging, or your usual routine. If you've ever had something stolen, experienced a fire or flood, suffered the unexpected death of a loved one, or an injury or a health challenge, you know what I'm describing. With heartbreak and complete surrender to uncertainty, to the unknown in the next moment, you say goodbye to who and what embodied love and support. This departure may create an existential challenge in your entire being. In that place of disorientation, you realize how much you've created a huge capacity to love. Eventually, there may be a time for radical acceptance, or maybe that experience remains elusive. In the meantime, grieving continues to be a process that will have its own way with your very essence. Sometimes there's a peeling away until you find yourself at the very center of what you deeply value about being alive. What matters most to you. The journey inside you becomes urgent and necessary for your ability to rise with resilience, to transcend, to live free. Fully facing the impermanence of all that lives outside of you, you can begin to flourish as an awakened being, an untethered soul. No one was ever yours to have forever. No belonging was ever yours to hold forever. Love never left you forsaken, because love lives strong inside of you and always will as life flows through you. May you live in the flow of every day with your heart always open. May you graciously let go and receive with soft hands all that leaves and comes. May you no longer hold back what you have to offer. May you live like every moment matters. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. I didn't know your story. It's the first time I heard it. And it takes a lot of courage. And I can relate to a lot of the things you said, because I've experienced that as well, some of it as well. I think it's I guess I'm speechless, because I would have never thought that about you, because you like I mentioned, you seem like the happiest person on earth. But oftentimes, a lot of the times actually, if it's those people that try so hard to push on and give others the courage to push on and see life that as a place that you can overcome anything, are the ones that perhaps have suffered the most. How many people can relate to that? Yeah, but so I appreciate all of you for doing what you're doing and having the courage to move on and light some fires, get some light bulbs on, spreading the lights, despite what you may have gone through. But if you know, we all go through things, I believe, for a reason. We may not understand why we're going through those things. We may never will, but we can serve as an inspiration or a role model to to prevent others from doing that, or just to let others know they're not alone, then that's what we're here for. And Laura, you just made me feel not as alone, so thank you. Next we have Quinn. So Quinn, I met through the Mutual Humans First group. He has been such a huge supporter in everything I do. He's been through all these rallies. A lot of you have, but Quinn, and the rallies and just other things online that I've done, and I really appreciate the cheerleading, the kindness, and just really he's ever since I've heard him speak in Humans First and so forth, he just radiates leadership, and I appreciate the words that you always share. Your feedback is always makes me think differently. So I'm really happy to have you here. And I don't think I've heard your story, but I'm really grateful that you're here and always for your constant support. So thank you for being you, Quinn.
Thank you. Thank you for all that you do. You're an inspiration as well, and it's easy and fun to support you because you're one of the people that's making a difference, and one of the difference that I want to see in the world. So, helping others on their path is something that's important to me. And I mentioned to well, first, so I'm Quinn. I live in Chicago. You may moved here 4 years ago from North Carolina, so there may be a little bit different accent than you'd expect by living in Chicago. I'm a recovering engineer, which is to say for the past 20 years, professionally, I've been a professional engineer, but I'm also a coach and working on several projects that revolve around EQ and engineering. And so emotional intelligence is really important to me. And I didn't fully know why until I started looking back. And I told Andre, my story is there's a lot of little stories. There's some inflection points in here that come up, and for me to pick which ones, I wasn't exactly sure which ones were going to come up, but there's a few things that have happened. And, I think these themes of things happen for a reason. One for me, my parents divorced when I was really young, and I can remember I remember them fighting, and I can remember what happened. And I was about 7 years old when my dad met my stepmom. And it's really funny because I'm really close, and I think the universe gave me two moms for a reason. And so it's we have a really great relationship, and it's genetically I've gotten a lot of really great things from my mom, and then just nurturing from my stepmom has been a blessing. So I think these things do happen for a reason. And so it's you go back and you look at these things. This has been a year, right? A year to forget. Some people keep saying, and I'm with them. This is an awakening, and I look for what's going on here, and where is the hope, and what's happening. One thing for me has been taking personal responsibility. With the race stuff that's going on, especially in the United States. I look back. I was in middle school when the Rodney King riots happened. And, the day that the riots started, there was a bomb threat at my school. And there was a group of kids, we all kind of got out, we were all pushed out onto the fields, and we're kind of set in our little groups. And there was this one group of kids that was going around, and they came over to me and my friends, and, I kind of stood in the front. I was a little bit bigger. I played football, and, one of the guys came up and he punched me. And, gave me a black eye. He's like, "What are you going to do?" And I was like, "Well, there's 10 of him behind him." And I didn't do anything. And, we ended up leaving school. But what I came to realize from that later on was, the guys that I was hanging out with, we were, all white kids, all listening to country music. Some had rebel flags in their backpack. Some were doing these things. And it was this thing where I was trying to fit in with a group that I didn't belong. And if, I was one of two white kids on my school bus. So I knew all these kids, and, I didn't see myself as one of these other people, but from the outside, they associated me with these people who were doing things that were very, broadcasting this hate or, these mixed messages. And, that's something that's come up for me later in life. And so I realized, I kind of brought that black eye on myself, and I don't bring violence to anybody. I don't think we need to do that, but understanding what we're doing and how we're relating with other communities. And I see it coming back now, these 20 years later, and it's like, what are we doing with these communities? And so, we're in Chicago and these things are going on. And I keep looking at, everybody's like, oh, it's horrible. It's this horrible city. And I was like, no, Chicago's one of the most magical cities I know. My son sings in the Chicago Children's Choir, 5,000 plus kids, every neighborhood's represented, and they all come from all these different backgrounds. And when they're given a chance to come together and sing, it's not about, hey, where did they all put on the same uniform, they all stand on the same stage, and they all sing their voices together. And you realize there's a connection there that we can't fabricate, nor do we need to fabricate. It's naturally within us. And this is one of the things that, comes from me, is trying to get back to what's natural. So, I realized I was being unnatural, naturally trying to fit in, but being unnatural to who I was to be a part of that group. And I think COVID has given me a time where, we talk about, the way it used to be. Well, I used to drive around 3 hours a day, and, I'm in outside sales, and that's one of the things I would do. Well, I'm not driving for 3 hours. So what am I doing? I took this time to say, okay, now I need to lean in. I have this opportunity now to lean into my community. One of those is Humans First. And, it's brought me here today, which I'm grateful for, because this opportunity to really look and say, okay, so we can't do what we were doing. What can we do now? And some of the messages that came up earlier, every moment counts. It's not what could I do or what can I do today. It's what can I do today. And I see hope within that. Another group that I work with is Noble Explorers, and we're teaching kids 8 to 18 STEM and soft skill. The fun thing, and what gives me the most hope, and I think Roger sees this when he goes in the classrooms, these kids, especially when they're 8 years old, they haven't been taught that, diversity isn't a thing, or a growth mindset, or possibility. If you think about how creative we all were as kids, that exists. And, and we don't have to teach kids that. We just have to remind them that it's innately there. And unfortunately, what we do is we try and put these layers on top of them as they go. And so the hope for me is, I've got 8-year-olds giving each other, witnessing them every week. Last week we had a group. There were kids from Kenya, there were kids from the Ukraine, there were kids from the Middle East, kids from North America, South America, all coming together working on these projects. And no one had to say, hey, y'all get along. They're like, hey, this is awesome. I get to work with these kids from Kenya. They're so cool. And these things that we take as artificial are really natural. And so as we go back to these things and we start looking at it, and Mike said hope is free earlier. One of the things that I look at is nature is free too. I haven't been able to travel to see my brother. I haven't been able to go see my family, or who are in Wisconsin. And, but one thing I can do is I walk to the beach every morning on Lake Michigan. I look at the sunrise, and that's free. And nature is free, and these things that we can do, and I can sit there and be appreciative, and that gratitude, just talk about to begin with, those are the things that we all have. And if we look around and we just really lean into what those are, we start seeing that, these opportunities to do something is there. And to say, I can't be in person with the ones I love. Well, I can't be in person with you all, but I love you all. And I love these communities. I love the people that I connect with in Singapore. I love the people that I connect with in the UK, the people that I connect with every, week here in the US. And so being able to connect in a way here, people would say, oh, you can't connect over Zoom. Well, we're proving it right now, and we've been proving it. And these are the things that give me hope that, technology is bad. Oh, I can't, everybody's going on Facebook, everybody's going on social media, well, I don't know about your social media, but my social media feed looks a lot like the people that are on this group. And I go there for inspiration, and I'm not having people posing in front of, their new car or their, second house or whatever it is. It's people who are giving me inspiring things, or opening my eyes to things that I don't see. There are all these people who are sharing these diverse thoughts that are there, and that didn't exist before Facebook. And in a way, I mean, it's easy to jump into your silo and get caught in a vacuum and ooh, I feel good because this is, or it's to say, hey, you know what? I am a little bit nervous, and and I do get the butterflies. One of the best stories I've ever heard about this was like Bruce Springsteen. Bruce Springsteen gets butterflies, but for him, the butterflies mean it's go time, and like he is excited to go out on, like, that means, hey, it's ready to go have a show. And so it's how we use these emotions that are naturally a part of us, and learning to channel them and sit with them and know that it's not about being happy all the time. It's about recognizing why we're not happy and saying, hey, what is this teaching me here, and what can I learn from this moment? And every moment that we have, and we've heard all these wonderful stories of teaching moments, I don't wish anything like what happened to Roger on Roger, but I do believe that was the best day of his life. I believe where he's at now, the perspective that he has, I inspire, or, want to have that perspective, because that's something I look for in everything that I'm trying to do. And so we each have this opportunity to look beyond just what we think our limitations are, to see, what is possible. And that's what gives me hope. And I know, working with the kids and working with adults, I mean, I'm still learning. And the fact that we can still learn, it's just great. We are only stuck in the mud if we stay there. And so, for me, this just reinforces it, but I am so hopeful for what's going on with the future. And the other nice thing about that, and I go back to nature, because I think this is where this all comes from. We looked at what happened when we stopped polluting. Animals started coming back places they were. The skies started cleaning up a little bit. And nature gives us this idea, and in nature there's death. There's death all around us. But that same sunrise where I'm looking, there was a kid drowned 2 weeks ago. And I feel so bad. But when I sit down there and I look at it and I say, you know what, I'm grateful every morning I get to look at that sunrise, and I appreciate it, because I know that it's not given to everybody, and tomorrow isn't given to any of us. And so to make every moment count and to do what we can in each of these moments, this fills me up. And so thank you, Andrea, for all that you do, for putting this forum together, for letting everyone here share their story, because I'm leaving with more hope, and every time I come here I leave with more hope. And I think that's the message that we need to have, is there is hope out there for anyone who goes looking for it. And if you don't find it, or you're having a hard time finding it, lean into this group, lean into the other groups, surround yourself with the people who are sending a message of hope, because it's real easy to find that negative message. We can all sit there and turn on the news and watch that for 8 hours, or we can turn the news off and we can tune into this, because this is out there. So thank you for making this available, and I'd love to connect with any of you all, and thank you for listening.
Thank you, Quinn. I'm going to sound like I'm repeating myself, but I had no idea about your story, and it just makes you really, really realize. I mean, just look at everyone here. Some of you know each other, some of you don't. And also look at everyone that perhaps when you go out to the grocery store or you connect with other groups, you think you know them, but do you? Especially those that are coming across the happiest, or maybe perhaps that you just automatically think you already characterize them in your mind. But is that really who they are? I mean, gosh, it's amazing how everyone has a story. And some people, no, I'm not going to say some, most people, I think, feel too vulnerable to share who they really are. And I just keep questioning why, because we're all human, and we all know that we all have feelings, and we all know that we're not perfect. And we all know that, human nature, unfortunately, we all judge at some point or another, whether we know it or not, whether we judge if we're safe speaking to that person, or we're not safe speaking to that person, or safe speaking in this forum or not. Do we unravel who we really are? Do we hold back? I mean, that in a way is judging as well. So I guess, what is the secret to see beyond that? And I guess, to me, what I'm learning now from hearing all of you is the secret is to remain open, to remain hopeful, to see things through a different lens. Catch yourself when you're thinking something and challenge that thought. Is it valid? Is there more to it that perhaps I don't know? Be curious. And Quinn, something you just said was, when you're going through nature, someone may be looking at the exact same sunset, but through a different lens.
Your dog.
Mike has kids and I have dogs. So look at, challenge yourself to see what lens you're using today, because sometimes that lens is maybe a bit foggy. You may have to clear it up a little bit, and you may not realize it's foggy. but you may need to go into a group or a forum or hang out with different people. So your visual, your sight becomes more clear, or it becomes washed for the day and you didn't realize it. So thank you, Quinn, for your story and for inspiring that in me. Hold on 1 minute. Okay, so this is a real human group full of imperfections. So if you have kids or dogs or interruptions that come, that's okay. We're going to keep going. So right now we're doing great with time. I want to thank all the speakers. Right now, I want to open it up to any questions to any of the speakers or anyone that wants to share anything. But first, any questions to speakers, whether it be Mike or Kathryn or Roger or Laura or Quinn, or any comments you want to share, if something that they said inspired you, if you want to share with them. Could anyone relate to any of their stories and want to give any feedback?
Hi, Andrea. It's Andrea Squared, the other half of Andrea Squared. Thank you, as always, for pulling this together. I know it takes a ton of your effort, time, and energy to do it, but every time I attend these, I feel inspired. There is a personal thing that happened yesterday where I was experiencing a misogynistic situation on the work front, and it was coming into today. I was in a negative space. This isn't about me though, hearing all of your stories today, it reminded me of the humanity in humanity. And when people love one another, it gives us all hope. It doesn't matter where we are in the world. Roger, I love that you're in the UK, and that mentally took me to a little vacation as you were talking. Your story is heartbreaking and then also inspirational. But that also helped me connect the dots between all of you today. So I think last time around, it was more around be curious and ask questions. Like it seemed to be the theme. This time around, it's around hope and resilience. Each one of you have a very amazing story that gives us strength. Thank you for sharing your stories today. It helped inspire me, and it's going to help me carry that forward to others. So thank you for having that courage, and for sharing the tender moments, the funny moments, the family moments, all of it. You're all awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. Always value your feedback. Anyone else have any comments, feedback? Chris?
Good afternoon, everyone. How's everyone doing today on this Super Saturday? You guys are truly amazing, and I'm so thankful and honored that Andrea asked me to be here today, and I greatly appreciate all you guys' story today. You guys are truly amazing human beings, and I just can't thank you enough for sharing your stories of inspiration and resilience more than ever before. I think we need to hear all that. It's about the power of positivity and the power of possibility that's before us. But this is a thing that really resonates with me right now, and I want to share it with you. And it actually comes from Sir Richard Branson. And I think this is going to really resonate with you guys too today. If someone offers you an amazing opportunity and you're not sure that you can do it, say yes and then learn how to do it later. And I think that is a great thing that we need to take forward with others, to be that beacon of hope, be that beacon of light, be able to inspire others to rise to the occasion and make them become a part of something bigger than of ourselves. And what we're doing here today, ladies and gentlemen, is what was meant to be, what we need to be doing. And if we can do this together to not only bring humanity together, but to bring humanity in the business and beyond, and spread the power of possibility and the power of positivity to so many others who truly needs it now, we can be those ambassadors to say, hey, I'm here to help and serve you. And then when everyone has a seat at the table of humanity together and ask each other, how can we help each other? Then not only do we help each other rise, but you know what? We rise with them. It's what I go by in my mission statement, which is, if I help you, you help me, then we help we. So everyone, I encourage you to connect with me here on LinkedIn. I've already put my LinkedIn profile. And like I said, thank you guys for sharing your story. You've inspired me so much. And how I can be of service to anyone here, please let me know, and let's connect and let's talk.
Thank you, Chris. Always a pleasure to have your comments and feedback. And yeah, if you don't follow Chris, follow him. He also has an amazing group. He does great things for humanity. Anyone else before we dive into our breakout rooms and get to know each other? Marshall, I see you joined. Welcome. I know Gabriel, you joined later on. Glad you're here. Walter, Yvonne, Tatiana.
What an amazing discussion. And I'm sharing not even from a place of words, it's from the place of energy I feel. When I was sitting and hearing the stories, I could literally feel my heart opening, like the space, and I'm quite connected with the heart space and energy. So it was like building up, and I am literally filled with energy that I want to jump, and I sit here, try to be quiet and, reserved, but there's so much energy. And I also want to share something. Like yesterday, I accidentally found out on LinkedIn that one of my first degree connections on LinkedIn, who became an influencer over the past 2 years, she took her life, and she was struggling with PTSD. And I know many people right now facing a huge health challenge, mental health challenge. And today I'm feeling all this energy and learning from your stories, the stories that inspire to find beauty in life, find beauty in community, find beauty in supporting each other. This is such a powerful sharing, and I want to convey this to you because this is something that can change this trend, that the people who are right now struggling, and this is a huge struggle, this is a real pandemic, the mental health, depression, suicides, a real pandemic. I read the research, I know the numbers and stats, and that amplified during COVID and after COVID. So I only can ask you to share more of what you do. If that can be an inspiration to you, amplify that, share more, because we are still in this. We did not finish this pandemic-related, COVID-related situation. So share more, connect. You have such a beautiful energy, such an amazing story, so more hope that you convey. So this is what I wanted to add to what you already shared. And thank you a lot.
Thank you, Tatiana. Your words
I just
always
wanted to
mean a lot.
say thank you, Andrea, for putting this together. And you've had some pretty amazing speakers today, and they've been very inspiring. And I really appreciate everybody today who's been here.
Thank you, Alicia. If you guys don't know Alicia, she's a powerhouse for the Houston Writers Guilds, and she is, God, so talented and so creative, such a creative writer. And shout out to all Houston Writers Guild members that are here. Thank you, Alicia. Anyone else before we go into breakout rooms? And don't feel intimidated with breakout rooms, because the first time I learned about breakout rooms through a Humans First call, I was like, a breakout what? I don't know if I want to do that. But don't feel intimidated, because it's actually a way for you. I'm gonna push a magic button. No one knows. I don't even know who you're gonna be grouped with. I'm gonna do like groups of 4, I think. And I think Tatiana just said this, which inspired me, is share more of what you do. That's when I go into breakout rooms, that's what I want you to do. Just share more of what you do, because each of you is a gift. And I think whether you realize it or not, your presence is a gift, and the words you may speak to someone at that minute, or your smile, is a gift. So this is about sharing hope and kindness, and you may be sharing it in your breakout room without realizing it. So just share more of what you do. Does anyone have anything before we break out?
One thing, Jay, if I can, and I'll mention, I had put a note down because one of the things I've been thinking about is Christy's, and what what happened, because one thing, and this, it's been a week of this for me, because I have another friend, you know, I went to the Citadel and have a lot of military background, and you know, we're still at 22 soldiers a day, you know, and this is something real. And just like with nature, and we're finding out that we are all interconnected. Our bodies are all interconnected, and I would say you know, we have this time where we're moving a little bit slower, but we know now that you know, what we eat, you know, the people we surround ourselves with, you know, how we're taking care of our body, you know, whether it's sleeping enough, or you know, being active, or being a part of a community. You know, the good news is being a part of community is like the most powerful thing. So we're doing that. So we're here today. But I would just realize that, you know, what we eat and how we sleep, you know, our bodies, you know, these chemical factories that we are, these all contribute, and they all come together. And when we stop treating it like it's something other, and we start realizing that it's all integrated, and again, you know, nature has provided us with what we need, and unfortunately you can't patent vegetables, or you know, be a lot more drug companies pushing them, but you know, it's like, these are the things, these simple things that we can do for ourselves, and by doing them for ourselves, we're creating health for other people around us and in our communities. And so just see that there is an interconnectedness here, and it's something that is, you know, it's real and it's powerful. And I have hope there too, because we know things now. I mean, we don't just think of it as this, you know, this disease or this thing that's other. You know, we're actually having open conversations about it, and we're talking about it, and we're bringing it to the forefront. And so just, you know, I encourage everyone to be aware and be conscious of, you know, what you're doing, because it's a great opportunity for us all to, you know, continue to be that light for everyone else.
Thank you, Quinn. Agree. Thanks for those reminders.
What
If you haven't checked out, oh, someone say something? Kathryn?
Just playing off what Quinn said, don't compare your struggle to his struggle, to her struggle. Just because it looks worse doesn't mean it isn't worse for you. We have to dwell in our own place. We're all dealing with our own. We're the only people we can fix. And if we try to compare that to what other people are doing, we'll never be able to fix ourselves. So focus on being the you that you're designed to be, and let that peace and comfort pour out onto the people around you.
Definitely agree with that. Can I just tag on the end of that?
Yeah,
okay.
David.
So yeah, so I think that's a really good point. I mean, firstly, just thank you for all the speakers. You guys have been a real gift. You know, I had a couple of, like Tatiana was saying, my heart opened, my tears opened. You know, two things that resonated for me was, or one thing that resonated for me was, through all the speakers, it was talking about, you know, adversity and resilience, and kind of the adversity is a gift, and it's been a learning tool. And just kind of tagging on to what Kathryn said, I think for me it is exemplified in, well, it's the prayer, it's the thing around serenity, which is, you know, asking for, you know, I can't remember what it is, accept the things you cannot change, have courage to change those you can, and have the wisdom to know the difference. You know, there are things that are out of your control, but there are things that are, and you can, that's what you should concentrate and focus on. And once your cup is full, you can give to others.
Thank you, David.
Thanks, David.
Absolutely. If you haven't checked out the chat, there's some really good stuff going on there as well. So thank you guys for your engagement. So I'm gonna, oh, Joy?
Greetings, thank you. I'll be real fast because I know you want to move to the breakouts.
No.
I'm not sure what to say other than I came because I have known Laura for a couple of years, and I'm on Facebook every day. I have used Facebook for years to inspire and to add light. And it's like Quinn said, my feed is so beautiful. I don't spend much time there. I add light, I add encouragement, I add support, and I get off. And this today fed my heart in a way that I didn't know. I didn't know this kind of thing existed, because I put out every Thursday. Actually, ladies, if anyone wants to come, I have a women's, it's just a gathering on Zoom, 11 o'clock Eastern time on Thursdays. And one person, two persons, and I am mattering to those two people. But I'm going to keep doing it. Last week there were 8 people, but I have not been on a Zoom with this many people yet in my life. And so thank you. It's been pretty great to be with you. Thank you.
Joy, keep doing what you're doing. Keep spreading the word. It just takes one person to be touched and spread it. Put what you do on the chat. Anyone that has communities or things, resources, please put it on the chat so we can know where to find you. Anyone else? I don't have to rush into breakout rooms. I want this to be open. Anyone else want to say anything?
Andrea?
Yes, Walter.
It's Walter.
Hi,
hey,
Walter.
Hey, I got on the cell phone earlier because I couldn't find the computer, but this has been great. I just think marvelous. And you know, at my age, it's hard for me to say anything good about anybody anymore, but this is really good. And I just wonder if anybody would like, well, no, I won't, but if you want to, what do you think this positive attitude, this going forward, how does that affect this country and where we're going, and how does all your stories, how do they play into the writings that you're doing, specific writings? And you need not answer that, but if you want to, fine. I'm getting off here before I really ruin myself. Okay, thank you, Andrea, once again.
Oh, thank you, Walter. Walter is a member of the Houston Writers Guild. He's amazing. He always is a huge supporter. So speakers, what is your, or anyone?
I want to jump right in here and say we have been in a really strange predicament in our situation. You know, having the house taken on Easter, and then we were blessed to be in a hotel for 7 weeks during the middle of this pandemic when you do not get housekeeping, or you still have to change your own sheets. And then we're over in this location, and I'm walking every day, and I'm outside, and I know it shocks you that I was talking to the birds and singing songs and having a good time. And one of my neighbors had the opportunity to talk to me, and he said, you know, I went to your website and I knew there was something wrong about you, but because nobody can really be that happy normally. Notice you are positive and encouraging, enjoying the journey, and
Hey, Kathryn, we lost your sound. Oh, there you are. You're like coming in and out.
Okay. Well, it's Tom's fault. He said something about squirrels. Not his fault. But people want a taste of positivity. That's how you spread it. You are a positive influence. You live positively. It's like glitter. Everybody that comes in contact with it.
Thank you, Kathryn. Absolutely right. Anyone else want to answer that? Great question, Walter. Laura?
Laura's raising her hand.
I would add that it's a positivity born out of difficulty, and when we can tell the truth about hard things that have happened and what has occurred to build that resilience, and have this wholeness, it can really make a difference. Just to tag on to what Kathryn said, because I think, for somebody to ask me, oh my gosh, how can you be so happy? It's just like, I'm so grateful. I'm alive. I'm here. I'm here to tell the story, much like Roger. You're here to tell the story and appreciate life. And so it's not the plaster fake positivity. It comes out of a genuine place of hurt, pain, navigating fear, and then realizing that, as Kathryn so beautifully put it, fear is false evidence appearing real, and just like talk to it and go, you're not leading me today. I am. My love is leading me today, not the fear. So I think that's part of it, breaking down the barriers of what's hard, because I think a lot of people hold, that pretense. So busting through the imposter syndrome is part of it.
So true. Oh my goodness. Brenda just put my mess has most definitely become my message on the chat. I can relate to that so much. Brenda, I don't want to put you on the spot, but that's, yes, right on. Follow Brenda if you haven't yet, because you're doing, I'm so proud of you. You're doing such great stuff on video and audio, and dang, watch out for Brenda. She's doing great stuff.
I think one comment too, Andrea, is people, because it is hard, right? And there's things that happen, and we, Laura said the false positivity. We don't have to do that. But the other thing that sometimes helps is just for staying neutral. And it's okay to be there, because from a neutral perspective, you're not looking at this as, it's good or bad, or this is happening to me. It's happening, and how we're aware of it. And sometimes if we're feeling bad, we're afraid, well, I should be feeling good. And then you start beating yourself up, and it's like, it's okay. It's like, no, just stay at a neutral place. And, because, there's an analogy I like is, you can't get to forward in a car without going through neutral. And so if you're in reverse, or you're thinking negatively, you're going to be moving backwards. So, if you're negative, just get to neutral. That's your goal. Hey, I'm having a crap day, or things are really low, or just something just happened. Okay. Well, I don't have to look at this and be like, okay, my tire just blew up, I'm happy. Right. It's like, but I can just be like, okay, that happened. It's not like, oh, the world's conspiring, or, whatever's going on. And if you're neutral and you stay neutral, then all of a sudden, you catch yourself, and then you can see that positive thing that came out of this. I always, if I get stuck at a stoplight, I'm like, thankfully, there was something in traffic that happened up ahead that, may have hit me. So I'm glad I'm here because I'm not there, or there's just other ways to kind of look at these things. So, that neutral thinking can help too, because, it is, things happen, and it is hard in the moment. And that's what it is. It's just giving yourself that grace to sit with it, but don't let it pull you down, or pull you back.
Quinn, I love what you just said. Sorry, Andrea. No? I just had to say, there's a synergy that's happening in the universe today, I feel. And what you just said was something that was in my mind all morning as I was upset about something. And then I was like, I need to be in a space of gratitude. And I'm like, I can't do that. I need to process where I'm at, and it's okay. And you validate those feelings. You don't want to suppress them, but then think about what you're grateful for too. It gets you to that neutral space so that you can then maybe move forward for it. So I was thinking, I'm like, gripes to gratitude is the key phrase for me right now. I'm like, it's okay. Everyone's dealing with something right now. 2020 has hit absolutely everybody worldwide. So how do we move forward? We need to acknowledge where we're at. And you're right. There is a blessing. There's that silver lining that might be taking place from whatever negative experience we might be having to get us through to that next place. And we just don't see it yet. Love what you said. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, that was powerful. If you missed the chat, Laura says, go to Switzerland. It's neutral. That's pretty good. So, gosh, this has been great. So anything else? I feel like we could go on and on and on and on. This is awesome. Thank you guys for sharing. All right, I'm gonna go into breakout rooms. This is my second time ever trying this out. So I don't know who's gonna be in what room. I'm gonna be popping in and out in different rooms just to see how it's going. But again, no agenda, nothing expected. Just share more of who you are and what you do. And let's see where that takes you. Well, we're going to be in there for about, I don't know, 5 minutes or so, and then you'll get a countdown when you're going to be zapped back into this room. My first experience in a breakout room, when I was in one and you get zapped back, it's kind of abrupt. So if you're in mid-sentence, it'll zap you back. So just FYI. Okay, guys, let's see. Let's see, five breakout rooms. Actually, I'm so bad at math. Hold on, 1, 2, 3.
Need 5 rooms.
That's what I had first. All right, don't doubt yourself. Okay, here we go. See you guys.
Any second now.
Yvonne, can you still hear me? Let's see.
For the black truck, correct? Okay, yes, I've got a young lady taking a DoorDash that's right next to the freight car. She's also taking your order as well. So, you're so welcome. I have a minute.
Let's see. I'm muted by the host. Let's see.
Welcome back. You made it. You made the zapping experience. You survived.
That was interesting.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm glad I could provide that for you.
Yes.
Done like a pro.
So
it was almost a time machine.
Yeah, right? Yeah, it goes well into Roger's speech, the whole time machine feel, the whole theme. So that was pretty good. So let's see. Shout out to group 1. Who's my group 1?
I think that was me.
Who's group 2? Do you even remember the number of your group?
No.
Shout out to everyone. All right, good. So how did you, that JC? We heard to speak, but we couldn't really understand.
Yeah, have to hit us up in the chat.
Oh, okay. Yeah, hit us up in the chat. Okay, any how was that? So any things, light bulb moments, any words that really resonated with you, or things you want to share about your experience with the breakout rooms? I've heard some great conversations as I was sneaking in. Some people were talking about speakers and how they really enjoyed some of their messages.
Oh, Jenny has someone in her picture, and she was also talking about the magic of kids and their ability to accept change better than adults. So maybe she'd want to share that with us, since she's
Jenny
behind her. Yeah.
Yeah,
Aww.
How did we end up there? But just how kids are so fully present and so quick to accept the now, that they will just cope with change and difficulties in a way that we can really learn from. And I really personally, I was coming from a point of just them being present as being key. So this is Bella. She's totally present right now.
Oh, hi Bella.
And so quick to accept and be letting go. Yeah.
But don't y'all think that children learn that from the people that they're around? That children respond to things in an open way like that because they respond that way because they're around that. So we have to be the example, just like we were talking about. You have to be the example to your children, or they're never going to be in a position to be that to the people around them.
Well, you know, I agree with what you're saying, but I also think in some part we forget that. I think it's a natural state that we're in as human beings, and as we grow up, sometimes we lose that or we forget it ourselves. So there's that part as well.
So true, JC. Very true. So any other remarks? I'm going to have, since we have a tight group right now, I want to share, we have a couple, 6 more minutes. I want everyone, I know this is like the teacher in me. I used to teach a long time ago, but if we go around the room and share a word that describe your experience today, that would be great. So anyone else have any closing thoughts before we do that?
I have one. I was on a call yesterday morning that, and we were kind of talking about some of the issues that are going on today in the world, and it was a diversity, inclusion, and equality focused, themed conversation. And someone said that when she was a child, she was filled with, an adult had actually told her that she had a rainbow array of friends, and they found that quite fascinating. And it was a range of, you know, regardless of what your color was, your culture, your background, your experience, your geography, anything like that. But her friends were black, brown, you know, yellow, pink, purple, you know, and it looked like a rainbow. And this adult described that to her. And she didn't understand at the time as a child what that meant. She's like, what are you talking about? A rainbow of friends. And then, so it's kind of talking about how children just really are receptive to everything. They're curious. They don't judge. They don't, they're a clean slate. They, like Quinn was saying, all of the people all the kids that are coming from around the world to learn from each other and to play and to do these things, they don't judge what they see. They judge, or they don't judge, but they are intrigued about what everyone has to offer, what they bring to the table, what they learn and what they know. And as we grow up, we're exposed to more and more of, I guess, the jaded views of the adults possibly who were in our life as we come into that world and merge a little bit more. And so it was interesting to hear her background where she had never experienced that growing up, what her group was the normal to her. And as she grew up and she saw this other side, she's like, well, wow, that's not normal, or at least not what I'm used to. So I think that kids, kind of have it. They have the great perspective. And if we can, help nurture that and help, show that that's really the way that the world is, and we bring into our, unconscious biases and baggage and, everything that happens to us, nothing is bad. Everything, like you said, Andrea, happens for a reason and makes us who we are, and shapes our future and our impact and our resilience. But, just kind of letting people naturally discover things. But it's interesting to hear perspectives of, that group, how they grew up, and then how some others, and others have been in groups that have, purely looked like them and sounded like them. And, Quinn was kind of alluding to some of that growing up, and how you learn to change perspective. And I just thought both of those were kind of powerful points of.
That's so true, Monique. Thanks for sharing. I totally agree. It made me think, wouldn't it be cool to have a version of this rally with kids? Would be so different to get their viewpoints and how different we approach the rally and how they would approach it. God, that would be so powerful.
Kindness with kids.
Yeah, yeah. Just God, they could start. I would love to hear that. Like if each of us brings a kid next time. I don't know. Anyway, it got me thinking. But guys, so any last words? If I mean, I'm not going to go around the room, but we can if you want to. But any words that come to mind, if that from your experience today, like has it helped you? Did you get a spark of knowledge? Are you going to pay it forward? That's the main thing.
I'll start off if you don't mind, because I have to. I'm gonna have to get off soon anyway. This is great, Andre. This is my first time. Obviously, I wasn't able to make the other ones, but this is great. Thank you so much for putting this together. I definitely learned a lot from all the speakers in our breakout. I specifically called out Quinn because he brought out some really interesting things to me, and then Kathryn came up with the word that I was thinking of that kind of represented all this, which was balance. So very thankful for the conversations in that regard, and thank you for putting this together. Thank you to all the speakers.
Thank you, JC. JC and I go way back college years. Really appreciate you being here.
I'll go next, Andrea.
Yeah.
Andrea. For me, it's love, empathy, and gratitude, right? I mean, that's what carries me through on a day-to-day basis, and I feel like this inspired that to a whole new level. It really lit me up and put me in a mindset that I want to make it. I want to make my motivations bigger to help others, right? I want to be able to share this with more people and lift more people up and give them an opportunity.
Thank you, Mike. Continue to do that. Continue to be you. Anyone else? Gosh,
yeah, for me, I'd just like to say thank you to everyone that's listened to the stories. And for me, I think the honour sharing the stage with the other speakers is that none of the speakers actually share their story from a place of the victim mentality. Everyone shares it from a place of a survivor, or as I describe myself these days, thriver mentality, because it's not a case of, well, woe is me, this is what's happened to me. It's a case of, this is what I've been through. We can't change the past. This is how I've embraced that to make a positive difference to as many people in the world as I can. And I think the other thing that is great about a group like this and sharing with the fellow speakers is the fact that, as well as it being done for that reason, it's not about competition and one-upmanship or anything like that, like was talked about earlier on, how we all come together and, you know, the challenges, the struggles that we have, and at the opposite end, the successes. One of the things I often say from stage is never compare your own chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. And so many people do that. And I think to share this stage with 4 other amazing people in front of such an amazing audience, to me, is an absolutely appreciated collaboration. So thank you very much for all involved. And thank you, Andrea, for putting this on and giving us that opportunity to get that message of hope out there to each other.
Thank you, Roger. God, I can't beat those closing remarks. So that's right on. Never compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. I love that. I love that. As a reminder, I want to thank all of our fabulous speakers. As always, it takes courage to be able to share what they shared. So I appreciate, love all of you. Thank you so much. And thank you guys all for being here. I mean, it's 2 hours of your weekend and you didn't have to be here. So I appreciate you being here. We're going to continue to hold these the last Saturdays of each month. So if you want to continue to help spread the word or get inspired or if you need a little hope in your weekend, feel free and join up again. And who knows, maybe in a future one, we'll have a kid version. Yeah.
Andrea,
have a great weekend, guys.
I have one activity for everyone to take away, and I heard it come up earlier. If you don't have something nice to say, don't say it. I've heard a version of this I really like is, if you have something nice to say it. When you catch somebody, and even if it's just, you know, Laura, that's a beautiful blue shirt you have on. You know, it's just saying something that, you know, when you notice something and just saying it. If you think it and you say, oh, it won't matter, it matters. And just saying that one little nice thing to somebody makes a big difference, and it's an easy thing that we can all do.
And
Absolutely.
Playing off what Quinn just said, ask for the manager and say something nice about your server or the person who helped you. It'll freak them out, but it'll be it'll be good.
Yes.
Okay, so that's homework assignment. I got homework. Nice. Have a great weekend, guys. Bye.